Well, we are joined now by Marwan Bishara, Al Jazeera senior political analyst. Marwan, you've been following the events of today very closely. What have you made of Donald Trump's trip to the Gulf so far?
Well, I think the performative aspect of it was quite enormous. I think the way the entire visit was produced was done so to impress both Saudis, Americans, and others. And I think it was notable how well the American president was received, as he was back in 2017. Now, having said that, and having heard the numbers in the billions and billions and trillions of dollars, and having heard the word historic today more than any normal day, I would say today is historic only by the measure of how many times I heard the word historic. Because if we go back to 2017, when President Trump visited Saudi Arabia, again on his first foreign trip, and he met with dozens of Islamic leaders, and all of them paid honor and respect to the new American president. And he lectured them about this and that and signed deals in the billions of dollars. But what happened after that? The Yemen war got worse. There was a blockade of Qatar. Then we had COVID. And everything just was derailed somehow. And the billions and billions were not all, of course, went into effect. So I would urge a bit of sobriety. I would urge that we're not taken by the words and the performances and the shock and awe, but rather, take it a bit easy and look at this in the context of what happened before and what could happen yet. That's not to say what happened is not important. It is. But I think we should be careful not to overblow what just happened. That's one. Two, which I think is no less important, I am not sure selling $142 billion of arms in a very sensitive region is something to celebrate. Certainly not when the United States is selling hundreds of billions of dollars in arms to the Middle East and cutting all foreign aid to the rest of the world, including the Middle East. That's not something to celebrate. We need to be a bit sober about how we value what is happening and how is this translated or reflected in the Middle East, where Sudan continues to suffer, Libya continues to suffer, Syria continues to suffer, Lebanon, Palestine, and so on and so forth.
Right, and picking up on that point, Gaza, of course, many people would have been hoping that Donald Trump would be talking about Gaza and there could be something substantial on that front. He did mention Gaza. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
The people of Gaza deserve a much better future, but that will or can not occur as long as their leaders choose to kidnap, torture, and target innocent men, women, and children for political ends. The way those people are treated in Gaza, there's not a place in the world where people are treated so badly. It's horrible.
What did you make of what he had to say there on Gaza?
Well, once again, parroting Netanyahu, repeating the Israeli sound bites. It would have been just sufficient out of Riyadh, out of respect to Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Arab and Muslim world, in fact, to the rest of the world, if President Trump would have simply said, Israel should end its occupation that's been going on for 6 decades. The dispossessions of the Palestinians been going on to 7 or 8 decades. If it could end its genocide, some very, very simple, straightforward solution that been proposed over decades, but ignored or undermined by the United States, including or especially by President Trump and President Biden over the past several years. And yet, I think Netanyahu does pose a bit of a challenge now to Trump, because while Trump wants to have these open relationships with Iran, Saudi Arabia, now Syria, that's not exactly Netanyahu's priorities. Netanyahu wants to continue with the war in Gaza or on Gaza, even if he takes just few moments of respite. He wants to continue the war on the rest of Palestine. He wants to continue the war on Syria and divide Syria, while now, as we just heard, President Trump wants to end the sanctions on Syria, which means he wants to work with the Turks and others on reviving Syria. That's not something that Netanyahu wants. Netanyahu wants to divide and weaken Syria. And same thing when it comes to arriving at a nuclear deal with Iran. That's not something that Netanyahu wants, and he's opposed it on a number of occasions. So again, it's a very complex situation. We don't know what the dynamic between Netanyahu and Trump is going to end up. We know that Trump continues to parrot the Israeli lines, even though he does have disagreements on priorities with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Meanwhile, Gaza suffers.
Many thanks for that. Marwan Bishara, Al Jazeera senior political analyst.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.